So painting to me is a expressive relaxation that I developed since being sick. Some very abstract to very simple pieces. Everything from watercolor to acrylic to oil. It gives me a different outlook on life because you simply forget everything you're doing. And even when I'm painting, I don't even think about what I'm painting, I just paint. I was born and raised in Long Beach, California. Did a lot of sports, ran track, football, baseball, wrestled. I went to school, had my fun in junior college. It was my cousin's farewell party going to the Navy, and his recruiter happened to be there. So I walked up to the recruiter, I said, tell me what I need to do to go. I was stationed to a squadron, so I was on an aircraft carrier. Then when I went into the Air Force, at that point in time I was 25, and that's when I became a radio communications specialist. I got out in 2008 from the Air Force, and I became a police officer, and that was actually one of my last stint before I had to medically retire from that. That's where my story and journey actually began. When I was a peace officer in the state of Nevada, I started noticing that I was becoming a little more sluggish, a little more tired, exerted frequently. That's when I knew something wasn't right, because my whole life I've been physically fit. From high school, college, even the military, I ran our fitness program for my squadron. And so to go from being active, trying to create a career that I've been wanting to do since I was 8 years old, getting sick just really kind of frustrated and upset me. I had gotten to the point where I was having a hard time walking. So my mother had to push me in a wheelchair to my appointment. I was going in to do a stress test, which essentially is getting on a bike with a breathing apparatus and you pushing yourself physically just to see how your breathing is. After the appointment, we went down to the cafeteria to eat. I'm still sitting in the wheelchair. My mom has my food in front of me, and she actually goes to grab some utensils. I start to get lightheaded and start to develop tunnel vision. So I actually passed out. I stopped breathing. I became unresponsive. My heart had stopped. So she actually had to perform CPR on me. And that's when she took me to the ER, and that's when they told me I needed my transplant. While on 2 heart pumps, one that went through my groin and the other that went through my neck, my heart function was improving, but my kidney function was not. And that's when they determined that I needed a kidney as well. There was no root cause that they could identify. It was more of considered a medical anomaly to a lot of the doctors. It wasn't hereditary, no virus, no disease or anything like that. They didn't know if it was the kidney affecting the heart or the heart affecting the kidney. Later that year in December, I received an ICD/defibrillator. And from there, I just progressively gotten worse. So I was hospitalized between 10 to 15 times between the years 2017 until just recently, up to the point of me receiving my transplants. With each time, hate to say it, it got easier. The first time scared me, and I would literally break down crying because I didn't know what was happening. But the last few times, it was more or less so depressing, I just didn't care anymore and was hoping it would happen. The day I found out that the heart was at the hospital waiting for me and all they had to do was examine it to make sure that it was good to go, that was probably my number 3 greatest moment. Going from having a heart function of 8% to a heart function of 67%, which is normal. It felt great, but you still have those hang-ups because you are so used to being sick that you don't know how to function when you're healthy.
When I met Marcus, he was so thin. He could barely walk. He literally looked like probably 20 years older than he looks right now. You know, I just gave him a hug and welcomed him and said, "You're gonna be shocked how you are 2 weeks from today."
I have not dealt with or been involved with someone or one particular foundation that actually cares this passionately about transplant recipients. I want to really just tell her and the foundation thank you, because if it wasn't for them, I honestly wouldn't be alive right now.
Just to hear his perspective change from how he was just as a man growing up, and then how it was when he was sick, to how he is today, and that he's enjoying just the simple pleasure of being able to just be, knowing that before he received his heart transplant that he'd talk for 2 to 3 minutes and he'd be winded and couldn't talk. And it's amazing to think of that version of him, because we sat there for over an hour and talked, and he looked great and healthy, and one would never know.
What am I going to do now? Now that I'm healthy, now that I have a new heart, a new kidney. Before I used to limit myself to a plan, a to-do list. And after getting my transplants, that goes out the window, because now you're free, you're happy. You don't have to look over your shoulder and wonder if, am I going to be here tomorrow? For the ones that are going through any type of ailments where it's terminal, where they would need organ transplants, is just don't give up. There was so many points in my life where depression and anger sets in to where you want to give up. Just don't. There's more help than just that person in the mirror. And for the people that can help, just please do, because you literally not only change their life, but their lifestyle, their way of life, everything that simply about that person just changes.